Hello and welcome to Underdogs, Bootstrappers, and Game Changers. This is for those of you that are starting with nothing and using business to change their stars. Motivating people who disrupted industry standards. This is the real side of business. This isn't Shark Tank. My aim with this podcast is to take away some of the imaginary roadblocks that are out there. I want to help more underdogs because underdogs are truly who change the world. This is part of our Content for Good initiative. All the proceeds from the monetization of this podcast will go to charitable causes. It's for the person that wants it. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Underdogs, Bootstrappers, Game Changers. Once again, I'm blessed to have a couple friends in the studio. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Now, one of the most important things that's out there in the world these days is networking, right? And it's something that I've not always been amazing at. I kind of cue myself as the Willy Wonka, closing myself behind the gates and then just going to work for years. But you two have been amazing at it. Connecting with you guys has been the highlight of my recent life. You guys are such good people, such good conversations, so helpful, in every single way. Who can I connect you to? What can I help you with? It's unbelievable. So folks at home, what I really want you to get out of this is these are two kind-hearted networkers. And it's led to a lot of things for me. And at the same time, I want you to pick up the cues on how they help people and how in turn, I'm sure your lives have been blessed because of it. So DeLo, Sahar.
Hi.
Welcome to the studio today.
Thank you.
I want to give you just a second to DeLo, you want to give me a little background on what you're doing these days? Talk to me about your business stuff, your mastermind stuff, that sort of thing.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's awesome to be here and I appreciate it. I just had you on my podcast, which is cool. So that's one of the things that I'm doing. I have a podcast called On the DeLo. For those of you that obviously don't know me, my name is DeLo, but that's for DeLorenzo, my last name. I've been in the music business, worked for Warner Brothers Records, got to tour and work with a lot of amazing artists. And then after that, once the record industry took a crap, turned into something completely different, turned more into an online sort of business, the whole structure of it was different. So I ended up getting back into my father's business, which was insurance, and I've been doing that for about 30 years, and I created a niche out of that in the hospitality field, and so now I have an entity called Bar and Restaurant Insurance, and as we had met at the local first, event, part of what I've been doing for the last 3 decades is connecting, and I call myself the connector and protector. So
you're wonderful at it, and we're going to get you back sometime, and we're going to talk about insurance too, because it's a part of business that there's some things we need to talk about, to say the least, as we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And Sahar, you want to talk a little bit about what you're up to these days,
Sure.
Working on?
We've been in business for 15 years with my husband's company. Had my own business of importation distribution of small batch spirits. I also work with a group that we help small businesses grow. Yeah. So definitely rooting for the underdog there.
Yeah.
And hoping to make shifts. And same thing, connector. My heart's there. When I see a puzzle piece, I will make sure I connect it. And the rest is up to you. But I will facilitate however I can, especially with things that you're doing.
Thank you.
That are matters of the heart and that I can immediately connect to. And so it's easy to help.
And that's one thing I'll definitely vouch for these guys on. It's always nice when I have personal friends in the studio, because it's I see their hearts, I see the way they just help people, and they're not asking anything in return. How did that, if one of you wanted to take on this question, it's what was your first interest in networking, and what, maybe DeLo, you want to weigh in on how you got involved with your original network, and that's how that's helped you?
Yeah, this is gonna throw you for a loop. So I was probably 6.
Wow.
And I was, I'm an only child in the aspect of the 2 parents that, did the thing, made one of me. But I have some step brothers and sisters and this and that. But as a child, I would be in the neighborhood, I'd be walking around, and I would just make friends. I was just one of those people that was always interconnected. And I still have some of those friends today, the McGuires that lived on Greenvine Trace up in Atlanta where I grew up. And I always just had this, I think this persona to be able to collectively bring energy into my life and, create friendships out of that.
Yeah.
And I always took it, I think in my younger years, I would take a lot of that to heart, especially women that I would get involved with, and when I say women, when you're in high school and you're you fall in love and, you take it all so seriously and so hard. And so I've always been somebody to want to just connect with other people and other energies and stuff like that. But what's so funny about it is that I'm also a recluse. I like to just hole up when I'm done being who I'm being.
So I think a lot of people can probably at home, especially, it's not everybody is super outgoing. It's not easy, you guys, either to go to some of these events, at least at first. It's how did you come out of that shell?
It's either, for me, it was just in me. It was one of those things. I never really gave
That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Exactly, right? You have to have that persona to not give a crap about what other people think or how they're going to evaluate. Now, that's not to say that there's not subliminally something going on.
Yeah.
We'd be ridiculous to say, oh my God, part of me was did I say that? But as you get older, you realize it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just be you. And whatever energies attract to you that
Absolutely.
attract to the authenticity of who you are, then that's all that matters.
Yeah.
And stop worrying about all the other stuff you can't control. Because people have heard this term, other people's opinion of you is not any of your business.
Yeah.
I heard a great quote last weekend. It was, validation is only for parking.
Oh, wow. Uh-huh.
That's
So,
great too, yeah.
But how did
that's
you
really
guys,
it.
I think that's important. How did you get there? It's not so easy. It's we are a society that generally cares what people think of us. How do you get there? What's the tip?
I think for me, I go with my heart. I'm going there. The number one thing I can tell everybody is that when I go to a networking event, the easiest shift I can do in my mindset and my person so that my energy does shift, like you're saying, is I'm going there to help people.
Yeah.
I'm not going there to receive. I'm going there to give.
Yeah.
So when you're going as that pressure of, I better meet so-and-so, oh my goodness.
Better get a sale.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I better add to my funnel.
Yeah.
That mentality needs to go away.
Yeah.
And I think that allows for space for you to be authentic because there's no pressure on you, right? It's not, oh my goodness, I better make I have an elevator pitch of 30 seconds. I better talk to so-and-so and make sure I get it right on and you're practicing in the mirror. No, go there, go shake some hands, go make friends. You know, that's the mentality, and how you get over it is you're going there to make friends.
That's an amazing point. And the thing is authenticity doesn't come from going and pressuring people into a sale. I always tell people I am the worst salesperson in the world, but I'm really good at relationships.
Yeah.
And so if you just naturally go and talk to somebody and you invest your energy into them and you listen to them and you go authentically to help them, then the natural transition of what's going to happen is good energy back to you. It's just going to be what happens. So, it was the worst when I was younger, and Rick would come up to me and be like, hey buddy, do you have this product or this and that? I'm like, dude, leave me alone.
Yeah.
It's so. And look, some people go to those things just to do that. But for me, networking events and doing that sort of thing, it's really just to meet people. I wouldn't have met you if I didn't go a mile down. And I went to that event because I go to bed at 8. I don't really do those happy hour events.
You
I don't
told us
drink
that.
anymore. I'm boring as shit, right?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. If I didn't go a mile down the road to go hang out for an hour, I probably would have eventually met you, but I would have never met you.
Yeah.
And we're just standing there in a circle, and now here we are, a month
yeah.
later, sitting in a podcast studio together talking about, why we met.
Yeah. No, that's what's amazing about it too. And it's I love the point that you guys are making around just go down there and make friends and offer value. I think too often we're getting confused in networking has to be, I'm going to get a sale that day or this has to lead to a sale. It's I believe completely in business too. You offer value,
Absolutely.
you offer value and then the world blesses you is the way I see it. It's and then eventually your business flourishes because you've made enough connections and none of that had to do with the sale.
I like to say the reason you network is first to give back, but then also you're creating a net, like you're saying.
Yeah.
That net is what later will be the eventual, hey, I met someone, they need blah, blah, blah that you're doing, and let me intro you.
Yeah.
That's the net you're creating, and that's where the funnel is. You're not going for the sale for tomorrow to the networking event. You're creating human relationships. And I mean, that's what we're wired for in our brains, is human relationships. With those, we understand where we stand in society. Like, we are creating heuristics of our own perception of who we are. But not only that, it's the relationships that we don't have. Like, yes, I have LinkedIn. Yes, I have social.
Yeah.
But I'm not, chit-chatting with you about, what we were talking about before, like whys of things we do.
Yeah.
It's in person that you do that.
They say, what's that, 6 degrees of separation? It's like we're all separated by 6 people. But I find, like, I think of it a different way. If you talk to somebody long enough, you're going to have a first degree of connection, right? Whether that's like, we're doing a lot these days with charity and business and that sort of stuff. Is like, you talk to somebody for a moment, you're going to find something you're on equal ground with, that maybe you're going to work on together later, that maybe you're going to connect through, that maybe you both have a heart for. It's like, and that's like one thing I've realized about getting out there a little bit these days. It's like, we connect on so many different levels. I connect on a lot of different levels with you, a lot of different levels with you. And it, like, we haven't even talked business really, for the most part.
No. Yeah. It's, we all live off of the earth. Okay.
Yeah.
And if you think of the ecosystem of us as human beings, and going, and like, I go to that local first event, and I took a packet of seeds with me, right? And I planted a seed in the ground, and out of that seed grew a branch, and you're one of those branches, and you're another one of those branches. And, the branches keep growing out of the tree, and then eventually the branches grow fruit.
Yeah. Yep.
And then all of a sudden you're like, hey, I'm going to introduce you to so-and-so. And guess what? I get to pick that beautiful fruit off of the tree. And all I did was plant a seed.
Sure.
Absolutely.
And I didn't overwater it. I'm not like, hey, I need business. I need, You're not draining the plant. You're not killing it. You're not giving it too much sun. You're letting it just grow. And things take time.
And totally. And for the new people out there that don't feel like they have anything to offer, like, we all have networks, right? And we try to connect each other and help each other, and that we have businesses and that sort of stuff. But you have somebody that brand new out there, like people like us, I'm sure, and you guys can vouch for me here, they love to help new people, right? Yeah. And so if you're out there right now and you're like, I don't have anything to offer, I don't have a network or anything, go, connect to people, like, because there's a lot of people that are willing to pour into your cup, especially if they see potential in what you're doing or who you are as a person and how you're showing up.
Absolutely.
So the world needs more good people. And like, I have no problem, for one, supporting good people, even if you're young with no connections, because there's no angle.
Yeah, completely.
There is the phrase, and I wanted to touch on this today. It's like, you are the top 5 people you hang out with. I want you guys to weigh in on that as like being amazing connectors. Top 5 people you hang out with. Tell me what you think of that.
They all are better at something that I am not good at, whether it be emotional, business, like different facets of my life, athletic. I want to be around people who help me grow. Like, that is my goal as a person, like as a human.
Yeah.
So however that is, whether they, are willing to call me out on things, or it goes back to authenticity. Like, everything is that. So when you get to know who you are, you get to blossom differently. But the 5 people that I hang out with most are going to ask me hard questions, right? They're going to make me face things that I don't really want to sometimes.
Yeah,
so,
totally. We think about, it's like, we're really careful in a big business, a big corporate business, about hiring our board of directors, right? And so I think about it this way all the time. It's like, so let's say you have 5 people on your board. It's like, they're all supposed to be specialists in these different areas, right? It's like, you have like an app you're working on for an insurance. And so like, you'd obviously want to get a tech person on your board, right. And like, you're the insurance guy. And it's like all these minds that are beautifully melded together to form this company, right? And like, we don't think about that in our own lives, I think, enough, because if your best friends are Sammy the Nose, like the kid down the street that's always like lighting things on fire, like, and then you have a business problem, you're going to go to those guys and they're going to give you horrible advice. Because like it or not, when you're first starting in business, your top 5 people are going to be your board of directors, whether you like it or not. And those can either be savvy business people or Sammy the Nose that doesn't know anything about business. Like, I think people need to really think about that in their lives. And like, how does that like perpetuate you? Who do you want to be? Like, what are you thinking about your 5 people in your life that are directing your
two of my 5 are my dogs.
Yeah.
Australian Shepherds just give me the best.
And they're adorable.
Love. Yeah, thank you. And they have a lot of energy. No, look, seasons have changed. We all go through seasons. At 50 years old today, I'm in a different season than when I was 20.
Sure.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing judgmental about that. But, when I was out drinking at bars, chasing women, doing all sorts of crazy stuff like that, which, most 20-year-olds probably should be doing, I'm in a different season than I'm in now. So my top 5 people are a lot different.
Yeah.
You know? And my top 5 people starts with my family.
Yeah.
But you know, when you say five's not really like, you know, a number. Your 5 could be 500. You know, it
Totally.
could be 100. It could be whatever. Birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah.
And so for me, I do agree with you. I agree. You want people in your lives that, you know, kind of, you know, give you a little something extra, a little something different, challenge you. You know, for me, it's all about positivity.
Yeah.
Look, I have this much time on my train left, right? I used to have
Yeah.
this much. I have this much. So if you're going to take any of my time on that train, it's got to be something that fulfills me with some sort of energy
Yeah.
in one way or the other.
Yeah.
You know, that's it.
I'm just going to add to that because I think it's brilliant. Yeah. I told you I recently met Jen Welter, the first female coach of the Cardinals.
Cool.
But yeah, and she said something on stage that one of the sound bites she like left with us is that don't share your plans with those who are going to dim it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? So it goes back to the positivity. Like, if you have an idea, you're not going to go tell it to like your parent who's going to be like, that's a bad idea. Let's replan. You know,
Sure.
like, no, you're going to go tell it to that person who's like, cool. And then what?
Yeah.
Right? Because then you're going to be able to go into the whys, go deeper into your light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that is absolutely correct.
And stop looking for validation from people that aren't going to give it to you anyways.
Right.
Because they're on their own path.
Absolutely.
They might be, you call it jealousy, you can call it whatever you want. But if you're really structured to do something successful within your life and that makes you happy and gives you energy, stop giving those plans to people that are just going to shoot it down every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You're just going in circles.
I mean, there was almost nobody that was never told that their business idea was awful that ended up being successful.
Right.
You know, it's like, so I don't want to approach too much of the negative part, but I do want to talk about like in your networking, you know, every once in a while there's somebody that like wants to take a lot for your cup or doesn't have like an attitude that's good for you. How do you like deal with that?
That's hard. I recently had an experience and I was just like, okay, well, I understand. My superpower is empathy.
Yeah.
So I tend to understand what they need, what they want, what they're looking for. And I'm at a place, I'm 42. So like, it's like, I don't have room for this.
Yeah.
I will love you and let you go to the side because this isn't what I want in my bubble.
Yeah.
And I know what I want now, right? So knowing what you want, knowing what you stand for, similar to what you were saying before, like your brand is your brand. If someone's going to ask you, hey, I want you to do this to it, you're going to say no, right?
Yeah.
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 Same with the people in my circle. If I get to network with somebody that's not rubbing me the right way or is affiliating themselves to me a lot and they're not vibing with my heart or my like purpose,
Yeah.
I just gently step back and understand that where they're coming from is not where I'm coming from.
Yeah. And how does that step back happen?
Less interaction. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not mean. I
Yeah.
don't believe that they need something, right? They're
Yeah.
filling themselves from whatever they find in whatever interaction we have.
Yeah.
So I'll either redirect them or just gently step back because
Yeah.
it's not where I want to go.
So I'm rather new to this, obviously, getting out and about with you guys. And it's like, do you find that's few and far between of the people that are out there in the world? Yeah.
Oof. Again, I'm going to bring up seasons of change and decades. So when I was 20, 30, possibly maybe the beginnings of my 40s, because it's really changed. Like, and again, I don't believe in time or the relevance. I just believe in the concept of experience and learning and knowledge and earned wisdom.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I was always one to be like, always take the meeting, always grab the coffee, always
Yeah,
go meet with
okay.
everybody. Always, you know, because when you're younger and you're building a business, you don't know who that other person is.
Yeah.
Right? Now, that being said, if I were to go back and look at all my journals, my calendars, the meetings, how they went, if I got everything out of it, if I still talked to that person, was there any sort of connection, blah, 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 right? 50% of it was probably crap,
Yeah.
right? Did I waste 50% of my life? No.
Yeah.
I learned quite a bit from that 50% of how I wanted to grow my business in a different way
Yeah.
and who I didn't necessarily want to work with. And that includes, you know, when you're working with clients too, people that, you know, you think in the beginning, you're like, I got to get their business. They're interested in me. Well, you know, in some cases, their interest is not in you. Their interest is always going to be in them. And sometimes it can be adversarial or it can be just a detriment to your business, but you learn from that as well. So fast forward to where I'm at now, I'm just very selective. Again, I said the train ride's this big, it's this big.
Yeah.
So that being said, like, to come down here today with you and know that you were here, this is a blessing for me. I know I'm going to get something out of it. I know it's going to fill my cup. I know it's going to, give me that energy. And I've got one other meeting today.
Yeah.
Okay. Besides like paperwork I got to do at the office and other things that I'm just, excited to get into with building my brand and other stuff, insurance quotes, my employee, I've set up a structure to where my employees can deal with a lot of that stuff. I just don't take the meeting anymore unless I really, really think it's going to just give me something, and I don't overextend myself. I probably still do a little more than I should, but I try not to overextend myself because I don't want my health to have a detriment.
Yeah.
Right. I don't have, who am I kidding? Yeah, great, I take care of myself, I'm in good shape, but I'm still I still got to take care of myself and understand that I have to create barriers within my own mental capacity and physical capacity so that I can get up every day and continue to do what I'm doing on some level.
Then I have a question for you, because I very clearly remember the days of the early entrepreneurship where you do everything, you're drained, and you barely get enough sleep, you're not eating because you don't have time. So what would you tell your 20-year-old self now as far as how will you find balance in that moment where you need all of those meetings, you need to be up, like doing your own accounting, like learning how to like figure out the SEOs, make a website, like create social presence. What would you tell that person then of how to have that balance?
Yeah, there's no such thing.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta bust ass and work. Quite honestly, look, you will get to a point where I got, and again, it took a lot of time, effort, money.
Yeah.
So I think part of a solution to that question is you don't necessarily need to go kill yourself. You do need to work hard, but also make sure that you can re-energize yourself. Don't do too much of the drugs or alcohol because all that's going to do is just waste time.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, oh my God, no, but let's be smart. Okay,
Yeah.
let's just figure it out, really. Because if you're hungover for 2 days, those are 2 days that you're losing to not get stuff done if you really want to grow a business.
Yeah.
Okay, that's just how it works. So that being said, save your money. Don't buy the expensive car. Oh, great! I landed this big account. I'm gonna go buy a brand new Mercedes. You don't deserve it yet, quite honestly. I mean, maybe you do deserve it because you feel like you do, and that's great. But if you want to have the health and wellness and the ability to save money, build the business, and then basically move the stuff that you shouldn't be doing because you're not good at it to somebody else so you can pay them and benefit the economy and grow a business, that's how you do it.
Folks, I didn't tell him to say that. I didn't pay him before the show. This is all stuff out of his own head, but I agree with it completely. As you know from past episodes, I agree. I think there's a time for the hard work. And then I think eventually you get to the point where, you get to be blessed, and it's and you get smarter, obviously, too, over the years. You know where you should or shouldn't spend your time. I mean, I still do a lot of things I shouldn't do. It's I'm back there working on my back lot all weekend. I could hire that out at $15 an hour or less.
But you enjoy it.
I enjoy it. And I felt like I accomplished something.
It fills his cup.
Right.
Yeah.
I bought a new Porsche. What am I doing, right?
It's gorgeous.
Thank you. It is pretty, but I'm not a Porsche guy. I mean, I'm a short little Italian guy that I honestly, I could give a crap less about cars. I don't care.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, this is kind of cool, and it'd be nice to drive around town in it. And I'm like, it was the worst financial decision ever. But it's not because I've worked hard, I can afford it, and I don't even think about the cost of it. It's not a big deal. There's no consequence to it.
You pass that by in the first 10 years or whatever, and now you're rewarding. There's zero wrong with that, right?
Yeah.
It's and that's where I think people go wrong to your point too. It's in the first couple of years, I deserve this. I worked hard. It's no, why don't you put that into the next big thing that's going to get you to the next level, as opposed to doing it, and then you'll have it later and then some, right?
Yeah, they're just things, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how many times have you bought a new car and you're like, oh, this is great. And then, 5 hours later, you're like,
okay, what's next?
Okay, cool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's to your point. It's that the rewards come, right?
Yeah.
I want to actually hit on something you said because I'm curious about it. It's learning, taking all those meetings at once, at first. Was that a lesson that had to be had? So there's young kid out there right now, like that's trying to start a business watching underdogs, right? It's like, should they take every meeting, or is there anything you learned through that wisdom that could help them, navigate that better?
Yeah. So here's what's really cool for young kids that are doing this now. Do your research.
Yeah.
Research. Know what your purpose is going into that meeting. Okay. And if you do those two things, regardless if the meeting is trash or if it's gold, it doesn't matter. At least you have a basis for what you're doing and why you did it. And then you can learn, if it was trash, you can learn from the trash, journal it. I journal every single day. I will journal today. I hung out with you guys because I love to be able to look back 5, 10, 15 years. I've been journaling 20 years. Love to look back and see a perspective of where I was at, who I met with, why I met with them, and then learn from all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I want to ask you guys, so like, you're good at networking, I think, whether you know it or not. Like, I've seen it firsthand, right? Like, when you're looking at somebody or thinking about somebody that's amazing at it, like, what are you thinking about, or maybe who are you thinking about, and what they've done well? So when the experts talk about an expert, that's what I want to hear.
First of all, I didn't even think I was an expert, but thank you. But I wanted to add on to something that DeLo was saying first.
Yeah.
Is that the people, and then I will answer that. You said that it's never a loss, and I agree with that. I think knowing who you are is what's going to get you the better relationships anyway.
Yeah.
So being selective isn't necessarily losing an opportunity.
Yeah.
And then also saying that when you said do your research, if I'm going to a networking event and there's speakers, I'm going to go read about them.
Sure.
I'm going to go know who they are. I'm going to go look at their social. I'm going to go look at their LinkedIns. I'm going to go find them.
Yeah.
So that I can contribute to a conversation with them. Like, I don't just go there blindly and hang out, right?
Awesome.
Like,
Good point.
I go there to make friends. Like, and when you're making friends, you want to know the most about them, right?
Yeah.
Who do I look for networking?
Or what do you see? Like, I'm just curious in somebody that's so good at it, like what you,
I really go have fun.
Of people you've ran across that you feel are good at it, what do you see as tendencies in them?
They care.
Yeah.
They care. We were talking about Andrew Kolkoff. Like, that's his thing. And I believe that that's what makes a good networking event, is that people go in it with their heart. They care. You're going into there because you want to contribute, you want to create, you want to grow. So that's really it. Like, where's your heart?
Do you think that's the big misinterpretation we get these days about networking? Is like, hey, I'm going to get a sale, as opposed to I should be going to make a friend.
Spoke to a woman who had her exit just recently. 9 figures, very comfortable.
Yeah.
And my thing when I go to networking is, if you don't know how to break the ice, I'm like, hey, let's get a selfie.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm known for it. It's kind of a joke. But so I go up to her, I'm like,
I love that you do that, actually.
But I will tell you why I do it too.
Yeah.
So anyway, I go up to her and I'm like, hey, I haven't met you. And that's simply it. I will go up to the person, and I've been told, like, oh, well, you just went up to her. I'm like, yeah, that's why we're here.
Yeah.
You know? So I'll go up to her, I'm like, hey, I haven't met you. I'm Sahar.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. And then I'll ask questions. Like, to me, and they're not questions like, they're questions that are making something happen inside of you. Like, you're going there to ask a question to grow from them, but will also spark a depth in their answer. So they'll have to have like self-reflection. It's not just like, hey, what's your favorite ice cream? I'll do that too, right?
Yeah.
Like, it depends who I'm talking to, where I'm at, how I'm feeling, and filling out the situation. But those are the best questions, right? So I go up to her, had no idea she was like this massive big shot, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, hey, let's connect. I really would love to connect with you. And she's like, oh, well, I need to get better at LinkedIn. And I'm like, that's fine. I can show you, like, let me show you. And she's like, you're really good at this. I go, well, thank you. And then she says, but how do you make it work in your funnel? And I was like, oh, shoot. I'm like, okay, let me start over. You're not supposed to go there thinking of your funnel, right?
Yeah.
You're going there. So I said, and that's what I told her. I go, look, it'll go into your funnel. I'm not saying don't go to your pipeline where like you go and you write the names or whatever CRM you use to like write your person, write where you met them, like have that information, because you're still growing. You're still learning and understanding what you need to do. So keep that information. And it also helps you identify the people, right? To know what you need to, like, your network becomes systematic, right?
Yeah, that's wonderful. And such a good point. It's like I work with people on personal brands a lot too, especially given the studio and things
Right.
like that. And so people will be always like, well, I want to be a marketing coach.
Yeah.
It's like, well, first go out there and offer some value, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Talk about marketing, talk
Yeah.
about the tips that you have, and then
Yeah.
eventually they'll find you,
And people are fear-based,
Yeah.
right? Because they're like, oh, well, then I can't charge them.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. Another thing that I heard this weekend was Miranda Bailey. She's a cinematographer. And she said, fear can drive with you. Fear can be in the car with you, but don't let it drive you, right?
That's
so
great.
don't, like their fear, I feel, is like they're not going to get the contract. They can't charge for that. If they
Yeah.
go and give their advice for free, they're not going to, they're going to lose an opportunity to make money.
Yeah.
No. You're just creating your brand where you know your stuff, right? Like you are giving a proof of market. Like you're telling them like, I can do this. Let me help you.
Yeah, let me add to that. Because I talked about this on my podcast when I was talking about like, I just call it earned wisdom. And I call it that there's a younger generation. I have kids that one's graduating U of A, paid for that. No, I'm proud of him. He's doing a good job. He'll graduate in a couple weeks. I have another one that's
awesome.
going to be thank you. He's going to be a junior. He's transferring to ASU. My point being is that, they're in their 20s, early 20s, and they don't know crap.
Yeah.
But they know a lot, in this generation of growing up and finding things. And so when I talk about earned wisdom, I think it's important for us, our age and older, to understand that even though the sounds of what we say to us sound like regurgitation because we've heard it from somebody else older or that we respect within our
Or it feels too simple.
It feels too simple,
Yeah.
right? It's not, and we were talking about this in the trailer. I mean, even simplistic stuff like nutrition, like people don't know how to read labels, and you and I and you, we're all like, well, that's what we do. That's why we feel good. That's why we have the energy to do these things. So don't ever take for granted the fact that you're able to share what it is that you've learned with others, and you'll know when you're having a conversation what level per the topic that they're at and how they can interject with you or just soak in the knowledge that you're able to give to them. And the other thing I want to add to that, which I talk about a lot even when I speak, is the basis of imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
I've had imposter syndrome my whole life.
Yeah.
I mean, I finally had to I've always
best
been
people do.
confident. Yeah. Right? And
Mm-hmm.
I've always been confident, and I had to look it up in the dictionary, and I'm like, holy crap, that's me. Like, I would sit in a room with a bunch of attorneys and all these highfalutin people within, the industry of the liquor laws, and I don't know much about the liquor. I know enough in order to be good within my industry, within insurance, but I had to come to realize that these men and women were coming to me for their clients on insurance.
Yeah.
So even though I'm in a room with people that are, older and just, they have that look, I'm wearing a rat t-shirt and, my jeans.
Yeah.
Because that's just who I am. I'm not going to change who I am and be like, you need to be respectful to an industry. No. You need to be respectful to yourself and, the persona that you want to, be able to give. And so it took me a while to get over imposter syndrome. But when I would go to these meetings over and over again, it's like working out. You all of a sudden, you feel strong because now all these people are coming and asking you questions, and you're putting information and knowledge in the marketplace where they're actually changing bills and laws in the state of Arizona because of the stuff that I've been saying.
It's insane, isn't it?
It's like crazy.
I went to an MBA program that you had to also be an executive to be part of it. And so these are all people that are CFOs, CEOs of companies, things like that. And I'm in this room as this like scrappy, mechanic turned business owner, and I'm like, and I was intimidated, right? There's all these big name people in the room and stuff. And I was told like after we graduated and everything from a bunch of them, they're like, the world would stop when you would say anything. Because you were the only entrepreneur in the room, and you like the stuff that you would come out of your mouth was gold. To me, it was so like, this is normal, right? This is normal everyday stuff. But it's like, to your point, it's like we don't even realize that, right? No. And so like sometimes offering value is like, remember that you were talking about the lady that like was worried that like they'd get their secret sauce. the secret sauce is up here. Usually they need help here, and that's what I learned about helping a lot of business people through here. It's like this, I've almost forgotten this stuff. I've been doing it for so long. And where they really need the help is like this very simple thing, it's like you can offer value without giving your secret sauce. Me personally, I'll give you the secret sauce all day long.
Same.
But
yeah, if you don't do anything with the ingredients, it's
Yeah.
worthless
Absolutely.
anyways.
Yeah.
You still got to do the work.
Yeah.
You got to do the work.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. My only issue with the secret sauce is like, I don't want somebody else to monetize it. That's my only issue. It's like when we do our seminars and stuff, there's a lot of work into our seminars. There's a lot of like pain and sweat and stuff. And so I get worried about releasing them sometimes because it's like, I don't want somebody else to take that information and monetize it. I'm meaning for it to be free. That's the only, held back I have to some of that stuff, so but the key there is like offering value. Right. And then to your point is wonderful. Like, everybody that's amazing that I know has imposter syndrome. I talk to people a lot. We have a lot of podcasters that come in here to the studio, obviously, and it's like some super accomplished people that don't feel they're good enough to have a podcast. It's like, and everybody has a message for the world, and they're usually huge-hearted too. It's like, I'm not saying everybody out there, that like doesn't fear this stuff doesn't have a huge heart, but like there's those that don't fear it and have a huge heart. But I just want to preface that because like I've been almost insulting people lately that aren't afraid of it, and I want to make sure not to do that.
Well, and don't be scared of people. People are just people. Like I love what you said. I mean, 9 figures, whatever that adds up to. I'm sure it's a lot. She's probably successful,
Very
great,
happy.
whatever.
Yeah.
But she still goes to the bathroom and takes her clothes off the same way we do.
She does.
And when I worked in the music business, I mean, I worked with. I'll just name drop whatever, but
I've seen his wall. It's incredible.
There's a point, I mean, when you're looking at, when you're working with the Red Hot Chili Peppers and Van Halen and Madonna and all, I didn't have time to be enamored with it. Now, was it cool? Yeah, of course it's cool. I love music. If you're into something, you're into it. Okay, cool, great. I can respect you for your art and what you did. Great job, cool person. But at the end of the day, you're sleeping the same way, you're taking a shower the same way, you're just people. And if you can learn from those people and not be so like, inside like scared to ask a question, which you aren't, which is amazing, you can learn and they can learn from you as well.
Totally. And it's refreshing. I mean, we have a billionaire in here every other week, an athlete, a celebrity, whatever. And like, I find that like most of them are the most beautiful human beings in the world. They come in here and they're not used to people just being real.
They don't want to be treated differently, most of them. And if they do, they're dicks.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I don't care.
True.
I don't care how successful you are. I don't want you in my network if you're a dick.
Absolutely.
I don't.
Absolutely.
I could care less. It's like, tell me what good you've done for the world. Like then I'll listen. Then I'll help you.
You're going to get buried in the same ground as me, bro.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. It's such a great point, and that's another reason you shouldn't be afraid to go to networking stuff, and like both you made an excellent point around the board and stuff like that, or me in the MBA program and being afraid. You go to a networking group, like you don't have to be intimidated to be there.
Well, I think for like real talk, like when you're going, especially as a first-time entrepreneur or a first-time networker, you go there. It is like it takes a while before you get to know your pitch, right? It's like that's a scary thing when you're going. Right, it's going to be like, okay, I messed up my pitch. Oh no, like don't dwell on it. It's my daughter does archery, so like every arrow is a new shot. Same thing, every pitch is a new shot, and it's practice. You go out there, you talk to people, you make the mistakes, like you said. Failing is part of the process, right? You're learning, you're not failing.
I failed epically on it because I didn't even get the note that I should have a pitch. And so I found myself just rambling the first time I was in there. And it's like, I don't even know what to talk about most of the time. I'm going to get better at it, though. I'm going to work on it.
So my pitch, people ask me, and it's not that I'm ashamed of what I do, but when you bring up the term insurance, people's eyes they glaze over. Like, okay, cool, on to the next person, right? So I just changed my pitch, and they're like, hey, what do you, and I'm like, I'm an underwear model for Fruit of the Loom.
I've done something like that.
They're like, really? And I'm like, yeah, I'm the grapes. And then it just opens up a contextual conversation on just other stuff. Because again, I'm not there to sell anybody. I'm there to be a part of community and get to know some people.
Exactly.
I used to tell girls that I was a ferry boat captain. Like that was my pickup line.
Every ferry boat needs a captain.
But I mean, that's what they're thinking about, right? They're going to a networking event. They're thinking and yes, you need the business points of like, what is my funnel? What am I going to do? How am I going to solve these problems? But that's not what networking is. Like networking is not that part of your business. Networking is creating the value in human relationships. So yes, you need a pitch. Yeah, you'll figure it out. It's not the end of the world. I think it was even that night with you guys. I was like, well, I wear a lot of hats. Which one do you want to hear? Like I was tired and I was like, and I was just real, right?
Yeah.
No, it's great. And you end up doing business with people that you like.
Sure.
So if I happen to
Absolutely.
have a service down the road that you all need or like, you're going to be like, oh, wait, DeLo does that as well. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm just going to call
Or
him because
even
I
like,
already
hey, DeLo,
trust him.
I need this. Can
Or
you
I
like,
need
who
this
do you know what you know?
connection.
Oh, well, I can do this for you. All right, do it.
And like
because
you-
I have confidence in you.
I get so excited about connecting people. You know what I'm saying? I
Same.
get just as excited about the connection
Absolutely.
as much as getting it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I believe in that 100%. And it is probably fair to say, too, getting out there and networking is now creating people that are going to hope for you.
Yeah.
And the more people you have hoping for you and the
Yeah.
more of a community you're building, I don't see that as a bad thing. It's like we talk a lot about around here about big business pushing in on little business, right? We are the big stick for small business.
Absolutely.
It's like, and one of the few tools that we have left in this world is each other.
Yeah.
This is one of the things that give us the most power is when we're in the room talking together, and so like I think that's it's one of the things that we haven't had taken away, right? And so like that's why I think there's so much power in this and this conversation. And you guys have like shed some light for me today on like some things too that I hadn't even thought about, because we do. And then I didn't even think, now it's become intuitive to me, we go to the networking events and we're offering value, but at the same time it's like I never totally labeled it that way. It's like, and I think like other people would have the wrong misconception about that. Like, hey, I'm going and I'm going to, sell 10 water heaters today.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
don't come in to sell 10 water heaters.
No.
Go to make friends.
Right.
Go to make people that are cheering for you to win.
Go
right?
to a home show or an RV show if you want to get that shit
Yeah.
in your face, right? Because
Yeah.
you know you're going there for a purpose.
Yeah.
And you walk by the guy with the solar.
Yeah.
You know you're getting sold solar,
Yeah.
and he's gonna chase you down the aisle,
Yeah.
give you a free water, and say, "Do you have panels on your thing?" Right?
Yeah.
You just know. But
Yeah.
if you're going to a networking event, just go have fun and be a part of community.
Have fun. That's
Yeah.
it. Have fun.
How do you guys choose the events that you go to?
I was just going to say, I
Yeah.
think that's as important. Knowing where you're going, and maybe it's again my age and like the experience of I've been there, done that type thing.
Yeah.
But I choose the events with purpose.
Yeah.
I go that resonate with me.
Yep.
A lot of the ones I go to, I love, and I find this to be a truth, is that whomever is the person that is coordinating it is going to have a reflection of them in the group.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I choose things. And strategically, I will also think, okay, like if I'm going for my husband's tech, okay, I'll go to the VC event, but I'll also go to the startup things because you never know when and who can connect, whether I need somebody on my team or whether I need somebody for an investor. You think strategically, right? It's
Yeah.
not just only your vibe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think I have my compartmentalized basis of things that I go to, and I know that I will be comfortable there, and I know that, if it's a local first event, Thomas, loves it when I come, and that's such a mutual admiration. I love that sort of thing. If it's a restaurant sort of event, I love seeing, it's where I know I'm just going to see friends at this point and
Yeah.
just be able to hang out. People all, look, not that I'm cool, but people already
you are.
know what I do, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, I just want to go there and hang out and be with my friends. Like,
Yeah.
like award show, like the Restaurant Association throws a annual award show. I love being a sponsor. I go every year for the last, I think, 5 years. I've brought $1,000 cash, and I present the award for the top employee and the top manager, and I give them each $500 cash in their
That's cool.
hand, and it's a great surprise every year because they don't get to go every year, but it's become one of those things. So I like to use my networking and my going out, if I'm going to be out past 8, has something to do for good, not just for me, but for those around me.
Yeah. I mean, that's like, I talk about this a lot too, is like people that are going to start their business. It's like, let's say you're going to start a hiking boot brand sometime in the future. It's
Yeah.
like, get involved with the hiking boot
Yeah,
community or the
exactly.
hiking community, right? Start a Facebook groups that's great hikes of the Arizona mountains, like start connecting with those people, start swimming in those. But then don't forget the thought of interdisciplinary, action, like you kind of brought up, is like the people that could be affecting your business in a positive way in the future could swim in any pool, right?
well, and yes, you're connecting and you're going to create that group, but also go with the intention of adding value to that space.
Absolutely.
Because yes, you want to create the Facebook page. Yes,
Yeah.
you want to do that and get to know, But I think intention is where things warm up, bloom better.
I agree completely, and I'm glad you hit on that harder, because like I get used to saying that a lot, and it's like that's my whole intention with it too. It's like, go out there, build a community, find value. Don't put the hiking boots online. Immediately you'll start getting known for being in the hiking community. They'll come to you for the boots, right?
Exactly.
Don't be like shoving the boots down their throat the second you make the membership. It's like to your point about the networking stuff too. It's like start building communities, right? If you're wanting to get in the automotive industry, the car industry, start going to the car shows and meeting people. Not, hey, I'm going to open a shop in 2 weeks. How many friends can I make, right? And then when they happen to see on your Facebook or whatever, since you connected, that so and so just opened a shop, then like there's a lot of people that now want to support you, and so
and don't give up. I mean, if you look at some of the most popular rock bands that ever existed, they didn't just all of a sudden write a hit record and all the everybody loved them. It took them years. It took them playing in clubs. It took them building and building. So if you're going to create community and only 5 people show up, guess what? That's 5 more people than you had before.
Yeah.
And then have them build on that.
I loved meeting you guys and like spending some time around you guys. It's like Sahar and I went to a concert a couple weeks ago. This guy was playing like the piano, and then he'd get under there and he'd play the harp, and then he's using this mallet, on the piano.
Really
it's
cool.
like
He's
Thanks for the invite. Cool.
and
Sorry.
Yeah, whatever.
He posted, to be fair.
So like you guys have been incredible for me in my journey, and like I've been learning a lot from you guys around networking, and so I appreciate it so much. And I want to give you guys a chance to like kind of talk about anything that you want to at the end here. Is there anything you want to tell the audience or like get out there in the world? Or your podcast is amazing. At least pitch that.
Oh yeah, I mean on the DeLo, it's on Spotify, Apple, all that sort of stuff. I like to interview really good people that can give nuggets. I like to put downloads that I bring into my life out there. I think what I do want to leave with is I want to be a conduit. Again, I'm going to use the word energy, of positive energy and of light. There's so much stuff going on in this world, and it can be very disheartening, and it can be very saddening depending on where, what, and how you watch. And here we are, 3 people that just literally met a month ago, and we're in my opinion, making a difference, at least verbally, to make a commitment to, help bring positivity and good energy into this world. And I think if people watching this can just take that moment and be like, okay, cool. How can I go out and go make somebody's day today? Because you both made my day today. Like my day's done. Like we're good to go. So that's it. Just love each other and have some good energy, and realize that we got it really good here.
Yeah.
We got it really good here.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
My advice was more entrepreneurial, like as far as like focus. I think the biggest thing I have, maybe the transition for me was from like going to motherhood back into business was really hard. And I think that something I can just push a little bit into someone's heart is do it scared.
Yeah.
Because
I agree.
I remember like 16, 15 years ago when I was sitting down in our living room or like making cold calls, or, we were a nobody. We had nothing. We were, our parents we're not entrepreneurs. We just did it.
Yeah.
And you have to, because if you sit there and think of the long list of why not to do it, well, you won't.
Yeah.
I agree 100%.
So do it scared.
Yeah. And then get out there and meet some people that are doing it.
Yeah, but do it scared with good intention.
Yeah.
Like with that good energy.
Yeah.
Like I think that is so important.
I think objects in motion stay in motion, right? Mm-hmm. And if you're around a lot of objects in motion doing this stuff, it seems normal,
Yes.
Like seeing it possible.
And make
really,
your bubble, Like, so you make
and that's
bubble.
why like being around people like you guys that are leading with your hearts, and like doing the good in the world, it's beautiful, and I'm glad to give you guys a platform to talk about this a little bit on today.
Thank you.
Did we miss anything on networking?
If we did, we can come back.
Okay. We can always come back. You guys are welcome anytime.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
for having
thanks for
us.
having me.
Thank you for
I loved
being
having you guys here today and
doing everything you do.
Oh, thank you.
It's really beautiful to see
awesome.
what you're doing,
Yeah.
and it's easy to support because it's just amazing.
I love connecting with like-hearted people. I say that all the time, and so it's like it keeps me motivated, And so thanks for coming in today.
Thank you.
Thanks you folks. Another episode of Underdogs, Bootstrappers, Game Changers, Networking. It's not just about making the sale. You heard it from the best that I know. It's about doing it with your heart, doing it with the intention that you're going to just help, right? And then you're going to meet some amazing people along the way, and you never know how your path can change from that. So until next time, folks, we'll see you soon.